Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the incredibly intense events of episode 6. In the previous episode, after being pressured by Sang Sang to finally earn money through writing, Ning Ke reluctantly agreed to open a calligraphy shop in Chang'an. Even though he was poor, he still stubbornly held onto his pride. He refused to set up a simple roadside stall and insisted on renting a proper store. After days of searching through the city with Sang Sang, they eventually found a tiny old calligraphy shop hidden inside Alley 47 in the eastern district of Chang'an, with a rent barely affordable for them. At the beginning of episode 6, the small shop officially became their new home. Although the place was narrow and old, it was peaceful and surprisingly complete. Inside were shelves for paintings and scrolls, stacks of paper and brushes, and even a small well in the backyard. Ning Ke bargained so fiercely over the price that the old manager nearly collapsed before finally agreeing to sign the transfer papers. After securing the shop, Sang Sang immediately began cleaning every corner while Ning Ke quietly sat outside, staring at the calm alleyway and imagining a brighter future ahead. That night, Sang Sang prepared the ink and paper while Ning Ke seriously began writing. Even though the brushes, inkstones, and paper were all cheap materials, his expression became completely focused the moment he held the brush. Since childhood, calligraphy had always been one of the greatest joys in his life. The moment the brush touched the paper, powerful and elegant strokes appeared one after another. The very first calligraphy piece he created in Chang'an contained 16 words. Mountains high and rivers long, all things ever changing. Though lacking an old master's brush, one remains pure despite poverty. That first night inside the new shop in Alley 47, Ning Ke felt closer than ever to the life he had dreamed about. There was no fine tea, no moonlit elegance, and no luxurious scholar's atmosphere like he had once imagined. But simply being able to sit there and write through the entire night already made him genuinely happy. Throughout the night, he produced countless works, from hanging scrolls to large calligraphy banners. Ning Ke was extremely confident in his handwriting. In his mind, once these works were displayed, wealthy nobles and cultured scholars from Chang'an would surely rush into his shop to buy them. The next morning, while casually bargaining for noodles on the street, Ning Ke randomly came up with a name for the shop, Old Brush Studio. Sang Sang had no objections, and just like that, the tiny calligraphy store officially received its name. Several days later, during a continuous spring rain, Old Brush Studio quietly opened for business. Ning Ke wore a brand new scholar's robe and proudly stood at the entrance, imagining his glorious future. Right at that moment, a middle-aged man in green robes carrying a sword stepped inside to avoid the rain. The man calmly examined every piece of calligraphy hanging on the walls before starting a conversation with Ning Ke. He asked why Ning Ke had rented a shop in such an abandoned alley where no one wanted to stay. Ning Ke answered that the place was quiet and perfect for business. Only then did the man reveal a shocking truth: the authorities were planning to reclaim the entire area to expand the warehouses, meaning the shop could disappear at any time. Before leaving, the man casually revealed another surprising fact: every store in that alley actually belonged to him. Unfortunately, the opening day of Old Brush Studio was a complete disaster. The endless spring rain turned Alley 47 into a cold and deserted place. Hardly any customers appeared. Ning Ke spent most of his time holding a teapot and staring gloomily at the rain while complaining about his miserable luck. Finally, around noon, an old wealthy man entered the shop to escape the rain. After slowly examining the calligraphy, the old man arrogantly mocked Ning Ke, saying that he was far too young and was only pretending to possess the style of an experienced master. Then he pretended to be generous and offered 2 taels of silver for 1 piece of calligraphy. The moment Ning Ke heard that price, he exploded in anger. To him, the offer was not only insulting toward his work, but insulting toward his pride. He immediately threw the customer out of the store. Sang Sang, however, felt heartbroken because 2 taels of silver was an enormous amount of money for them at the moment. Later that afternoon, after losing all interest in business, Ning Ke closed the shop and took Sang Sang out for a walk to relax. They bought small things, borrowed books, and happily wandered through the rainy streets like 2 carefree sparrows. But when they finally returned near the shop, Ning Ke suddenly froze. Beneath the gray wall across from the store lay a man covered entirely in blood. The injured man weakly shook his head the moment he saw Ning Ke, as if trying to warn him away from danger. Seconds later, loud shouts and rushing footsteps echoed through the alley. A squad of Imperial guards stormed into the narrow street and completely surrounded the wounded man. Under the cold spring rain, the blood staining the wall slowly washed away, leaving behind a suffocating atmosphere filled with tension and dread. After the Imperial guards carried away the corpse, the crowd gradually dispersed. Ning Ke stood silently under the rain for a very long time, staring at the dead man's dark face with empty eyes. That man was Zhou, an old acquaintance from 7 years ago. Back then, they had met in Min Mountain as children. Now, after 7 long years, their reunion lasted only a brief moment before death separated them forever. Back inside Old Brush Studio, Ning Ke tried to act calm. He quietly ate noodles with Sang Sang and even forced himself to joke a little, but the lifelessness in his eyes could not be hidden. Late that night, after Sang Sang fell asleep, Ning Ke secretly returned to the alley where Zhou had died. While touching the damp wall carefully, he discovered a loose brick. Hidden inside were several oil paper documents that Zhou had left behind before dying. After returning to the shop, Ning Ke ordered Sang Sang to hide the papers carefully. But even after lying down, he could not sleep. Instead, he went to the backyard and sharpened his blades deep into the night. Later, he returned indoors and wrote calligraphy in silence, using the brush to suppress the grief and fury raging inside him. Although his face remained cold and expressionless, Zhou's death had deeply shaken him. The next morning, after the rain finally stopped, sunlight illuminated Alley 47. Sitting quietly inside Old Brush Studio, Ning Ke opened the hidden documents left by Zhou. The papers contained names, habits, and secret information regarding several people connected to the massacre from years ago. The very first name written there was Zhang Diki. Zhang Diki was an official of the Imperial Censorate who had participated in investigating both General Lin Guangyuan's so-called treason case and the massacre of the village near Yan Kingdom. As Ning Ke stared at the name, killing intent slowly rose within him. He finally understood that if Zhou's death was to have any meaning, then the blood debt carried for so many years had to begin being repaid now. Even though assassinating Zhang Diki inside the capital city of Chang'an was extremely dangerous, Ning Ke showed no fear at all. For him, killing was never the difficult part. The true challenge was surviving afterward without leaving behind evidence. From Zhou's information, Ning Ke learned that Zhang Diki was secretly obsessed with women and frequently visited brothels in secret. Since directly following him was too risky, Ning Ke chose to approach the situation like a hunter tracking prey. During the day, he wandered near the Imperial Censorate and the Zhang residence, quietly observing the officials' habits. One evening, while watching Zhang Diki leave for a banquet, Ning Ke noticed something important. Except for the official wife, who was thin and cold-looking, all of Zhang Diki's concubines were voluptuous women. From that small detail, Ning Ke immediately guessed the censor's true preferences. Using that clue, he began investigating the famous brothels of Chang'an that specialized in beautiful full-figured women. Carrying a list of names, he wandered through the brightly lit entertainment districts of the city deep into the night. But the more he searched, the more ridiculous his method felt. Chang'an had far too many brothels, and every place was filled with beautiful women. Finally, while standing awkwardly outside an elegant brothel and hearing the women upstairs teasing him openly, Ning Ke's embarrassment turned into stubborn determination. Tightening his grip on the silver hidden inside his sleeve, he finally gathered his courage, raised his head proudly, and stepped inside. For the first time in his life, Ning Ke officially entered the world of Chang'an's pleasure houses. At first, he kept inventing excuses for himself. He told himself he was only there to investigate Zhang Diki, avenge Zhou, and seek justice for the innocent dead. But deep down, even he knew those excuses sounded terrible. Inside, however, the brothel was completely different from what he imagined. Outside was noisy and flirtatious, but inside was elegant and refined. Soft music echoed through the hall while graceful dancers performed on stage. Nothing felt vulgar or chaotic. Ning Ke sat alone in a corner drinking wine and eating sunflower seeds while trying desperately to look calm. Because he sat there awkwardly without any women accompanying him, he quickly became the target of playful teasing from the girls upstairs. A young nobleman noticed his awkwardness and warmly invited him over to drink together. After several cups of wine, the atmosphere became lively, and the nobleman enthusiastically offered to summon young courtesans to accompany Ning Ke. The teasing only made Ning Ke blush harder. Just as things were about to move in a direction completely unfamiliar to him, a maid suddenly appeared and announced that Master Jien wished to see him. The entire brothel immediately fell silent. Everyone stared at Ning Ke with expressions filled with shock and jealousy. Meanwhile, Ning Ke himself became both nervous and curious about the mysterious Master Jien. Filled with all kinds of unrealistic fantasies, Ning Ke followed the maid upstairs. But the person waiting for him was not a breathtaking courtesan. Instead, he met a middle-aged woman over 40 years old. She was not stunningly beautiful, but she possessed a calm dignity and powerful presence shaped by years of experience. Only then did Ning Ke learn her true identity. She was Master Jien, the founder of the legendary Hong Tu Chu troupe, the most famous dance and music organization in the world. This nameless brothel was actually considered the greatest pleasure house in all of Chang'an, a place visited by nobles, ministers, and even foreign envoys. After learning that Ning Ke was preparing for the academy entrance examination, Master Jian's attitude changed completely. Rather than treating him like a customer, she began scolding him like a concerned elder lecturing a foolish junior. She criticized him for being young, poor, and still uncertain about his future, yet already wasting money in a dangerous place that consumed both bones and souls. She warned him that with the prideful nature of Tang men, accepting drinks and hospitality from others would eventually force him to return those favors later, causing even greater hardship. The more she spoke, the angrier she became. She even demanded to know whether he had properly prepared for the academy examination or purchased the necessary study materials. Surprisingly, Ning Ke never argued back. He simply stood there obediently listening like a child being disciplined by an older family member. Seeing his unexpectedly honest reaction, Master Jien gradually calmed down. She realized that the reason she cared so much was because Ning Ke reminded her of someone from long ago. In the end, she sighed helplessly, laughed softly, and ordered someone to guide Ning Ke around the brothel so he could satisfy his curiosity. Before letting him leave, she reminded him once more to return home early and focus seriously on his future. And that concludes episode 6. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next exciting episode. See you again in the next video.